Morning, Summer.
Good morning, Carlos. I am there, Carlos. I'm not just putting the camera. I saw. Good morning, Richard. Carlos, I never heard any response from Mark. I'm going to Irvine Spectrum today after the meeting, so I don't know
I
what to.
think he's out of town.
Okay, okay.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I can see that Harriet's on the move. So has anyone gone on any great vacations this year? I guess not. And Sarah, it was your daughter's birthday over the weekend, wasn't it? And your sister's birthday too.
It was. We
How
had
old's your
two
daughter
big
now?
birthdays.
Uh-huh.
Turned 10.
Oh,
Yep. And then Erin turned, I don't know if she wants me to tell everyone, but she turned 40.
did she? I was wondering if this was that year.
Yeah. It was
Whose
a big
birthday,
year.
Whose birthday, June 10th?
It was July 8th. It was
Oh.
my daughter. She
Oh.
celebrated her big birthday. So my daughter shares her birthday with my sister and my mother-in-law.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. But as far as vacations, I did go to Texas, Rich.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We were there for the 4th of July.
Uh-huh.
It's expanding. We went to Frisco. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area.
I'm
It's
not.
It's about 30 minutes north of the Dallas airport.
Oh, all right, so I have an idea at least now.
Yeah, but just really expanding out there, and I don't know. It's flat though. It's very, very flat in Texas.
It's perfectly flat, isn't it? And you're driving down the freeway, you see those large water towers, right?
Yeah. Nothing. I mean, there's not a mountain, not a hill.
No. And then was it hot there when you were visiting?
You know, it was hot and it was muggy, but I've been in worse. So it wasn't actually that bad.
Oh, you've got a good attitude about that.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Vermont, you know, our Summers were very muggy.
I
Very
believe
humid.
it.
Mhm.
So Sarah, I didn't ask you to do it today, but can you give us a rate update? And today it seems like things are moving in the right direction.
Things are moving in the right direction. They're a little bit better from the last time I gave an update. So conforming loan limit, so 647, 200. Points of 0 to 1 point. The rates are about 4.75 to 4.999 today. High balance, 970, 800 and above. I'm sorry, and below is 4.875 to 5.25, 0 to 1 point. And then jumbo is about 5 to 5.375. So jumbo is anything above 970, 800.
So that's dramatically better.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, a quarter less than I think June 28th was the last time I gave an update.
Right. So a 0.25% in rate, not just cost.
Correct, in rate.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial. And I'm sorry, I should have introduced you. Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Sarah Menchaca was just responding to a question of mine. Sarah's with Southern California Funding. You won't find anybody better than Sarah. John Sheehan, how are you, John? Great.
Good morning.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm assuming everybody had the opportunity to see the email that we sent out last week, and there are a number of changes in regards to the different tools that are available to us. And I have to say, Coldwell Banker has actually done an excellent job this time. Now, implementation is always going to be transitional, so we're learning also. So today's discussion is going to be on Moxi Engage. Moxi Engage is going to be taking the place of Zap. Moxi Engage is a CRM, so customer resource management program, except it has so many more features. As a matter of fact, the functionality is fantastic. If you use it as, let's use the word ecosystem, when you're working from it, if you send out emails, you send out neighborhood market reports, it tracks all of that information associated with that client. That's really a neat thing. And then, for example, we're going to touch upon something else called a neighborhood market report today. But when you send out a neighborhood market report to a client, it's something that for the vicinity in which they live. What's neat about it, it's dynamic. So as the MLS changes, the report is automatically updated. So for example, within Engage, you can create an automated email. And with that email, you can attach with the neighborhood market report. Now you never have to go back again to make changes to that neighborhood market report because it's going to constantly reflect the data that's found in the MLS. And that's the one neat thing about all these different products that are rolling out. They all integrate with a multiple listing service. So we're getting real-time data throughout the programs that we're using. So it's really, really helpful. So what I have found, I've watched a number of videos so I can learn how to use the program itself. And I don't think that I would do as well of a job as the videos that are available to us. So today I wanted to go through 3 of 6 videos, and they're 12 to 15 minutes each. And actually they're worth our time. And then Carlos thereafter is just going to show the main screen of Moxi Engage. And we'll kind of talk about the aspects in regards to the transition that's forthcoming here. So I am going to begin the presentation now.
Hello, everyone. Brett Falkop here, Director of Agent Engagement for MoxiWorks, and welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of MoxiWorks. Today is going to be Moxi Engage specific, and we're going to be talking about database tune-up. So to begin with database tune-up, I want to quickly go over all the different aspects of having a contact in Moxi Engage. If you're unfamiliar with the platform, when you pull up a list, you'll see all sorts of different things on the screen. So I thought it made sense to kind of walk you through what each one of those A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I are. So number one, obviously, A is your name. So this reflects the name of that contact. B, that date is the date of your last change. Okay. And then C, for recent activity, this shows any kind of recent change that's happened in the contact card. So you can see below there that we've gone ahead and subscribed Ryan to listing announcements, which is spelled out under those for the activity details. Over on E down at the bottom in the blue outline, you see where it says buyer. Now, this is a category. Categories are set in Moxie Engage. You cannot edit them. And this is basically what is done when using the categorize wizard. And you have all sorts of options for these folks. You can have current client buyer, current client seller, past client buyer, past client seller, marketing. You can have personal contacts. You can have folks that you work with in a business capacity, all sorts of different categories. So the best way to categorize folks is using the categorize wizard, which when you pull up my people, you'll see those contacts, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. Next to those in F, now these are groups and lead sources. So now groups you can create, and you can create as many as you'd like. You can see that Brian here belongs to 2 different groups, 2, 3, 4, and star group. I'll just say 2, 3, 4 might be the area code, who knows, and then star group. So you can have multiple categories assigned to a contact. You can have multiple groups assigned to a contact. Now, what this is fantastic for, of course, is personalization and segmentation. You'll see in other episodes of 15 minutes, we actually go into some of the statistics, but I'll share a little secret now. Personalization is going to make sure that your emails are far more effective, that they're open more often, that the people engage with the content. They want to feel like this was crafted just for me. So without going into the most minute of details, you can actually create several different groups that you can use to make sure that you're sharing information that is relevant to that contact when you want to. So if you have a potential first-time home buyer as a group, right? You don't need to send first-time home buyer advice to somebody that's bought 3 or 4 investment properties. So having these segmentations allow you to still be able to use campaigns in a way that you can send lots of messages at once. You can just get more strategic about it. Not, hey, do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell? Give me a call. You send out to 2,000 people in the database and hope, okay, great. I hope they actually open that and do that. Being more personalized is going to help with that quite a bit. Over on the right, you'll see a section that shows up on the far right when you look at my people. The first option is to log activity. This is great because I can basically go in and without pulling up that contact card, I can go in and log an activity, whether I've met with them and I've sent them a flyer or a postcard, perhaps I've done a drop by and dropped off a pizza and some soda for tonight, whatever it may be. Using Moxie Engage right there, I can log that activity while I'm doing it, right? H, I can send a quick email to this person. So as long as you have an email address for that contact, I don't have to go over to Gmail and try to remember, et cetera. If you're using the integrations, if I go on that tab and I say email and say, okay, I want to send a quick email to Brian and say, hey, thank you for signing up for listing announcements. Was there anything that caught your eye? I can do it right from here in Engage. And then it will not only capture that information within the page, but remember with our integration with Gmail, it will actually send from your Gmail account. So it just prevents a lot of double entry, which is fantastic. And then last but not least, phone. So anybody who you have a phone number in here, again, pulling up their contact in Moxie Engage or pulling up a list of contacts in Moxie Engage with one button click, I can go ahead and pull up their phone number and give them a call from right here on the platform. Super quick and easy, and you don't have to bounce back and forth between different apps or screens. Now, a great way to get started when you first start with Moxie, or perhaps you just brought in maybe 200 emails from I worked a home show over the weekend, so I have all these brand new contacts I'm bringing in, is to use our categorized wizard. The other thing you can do is have this overview screen, which is when you pull up my people. And when you do this, you'll see a bunch of folks that maybe you haven't worked with too much lately and from within your sales flow. And then it'll give you ideas. Hey, do we want to subscribe them to neighborhood news? Do we want to sign them up for listing updates? And I can just very quickly and easily add them to campaigns and take other actions. So I can either hit skip or subscribe. These all show subscribe, but there's other actions that show really nice ability to kind of bubble up folks that maybe you haven't dealt with in a while, just to make sure you're keeping up with your whole sphere. Now, I want to talk quickly about groups and categories, and this shows that whole screen instead of breaking it down. And you can see that in the top section here, under my people, I've pulled up a couple of different groups. I've looked for past groups of past sellers from 2018, 2017. I've looked for past buyers in 2016 and 2018. Once I did that, I pulled up 31 contacts that are a member or one of or more of those groups. Now, That's what you see in the white section. And you can also see other groups. So example, I uploaded a bunch of contacts 12/12 of 2019, and you can see a lot of folks belong to that group. It's automatically created when you upload. If I don't want to use it, I can delete that group. But I keep it in there just to keep track of when people went into my database. So when you see those white boxes, those are groups. And being able to use the groups, you can click on the Edit Groups feature, which is right towards the top next to Categorize Wizard. The colored buttons with the background, again, those are categories, and those are ones that you can use that Categorize Wizard on the far right to put them into categories. And as you can see, they can be in multiple categories. You can see here that Tessie is not only she a past seller, she's a past buyer, and I know that she bought in 2016 and sold in 2017. So I've got all this information here, and I can mark it accordingly, either by category or by groups. Again, that Categorize Wizard makes it really easy to do this. It'll pull in, you push that button, pull up anybody in your database that is uncategorized, that you haven't given a category to. And you can see I've got 3 down here. So we have the option to assign them by selecting the client or non-client. So let's start with client. Now, if we select client, our different options, as you can see here, is I can say they're a buyer or a seller. That means I'm currently working with past buyer, past seller, past buyer and seller. Or if we're not quite there, we can just create a marketing plan to kind of start pushing in that direction. Hopefully lead them down the primrose path to becoming somebody that we're actively looking at. Okay, so when we talk about category management, let's start with clients and past clients. And you can see those at the top of this screen. So if I selected a client or a past client, you can see, instead of a non-client, these are going to be my options. Number 1, qualify this lead. These are folks that aren't really ready to buy or sell, but I want to add them to our marketing flow. So we go ahead and click that, and they can start getting our information. Now we have a seller or a buyer prospect. These folks are a lot closer to being able to want to go out and buy or sell something. This is really important for us, so we can put them as a prospect. We also have past buyers, past sellers, right? And so that way we can hit them with personalized information that's relevant to the fact that we've worked with them before. And then of course our sellers and our buyers, these are people we're actively working with to make sure that we're trying to find them a house. So we're actively working with them to try to get that listed. When we talk about non-clients, that's the example at the bottom. You can see Bridget there, we've highlighted non-client. So we have 3 different options. We have our first option, personal. These aren't collaborators. These are friends, family members that maybe you just don't need to be in those phones. So my aunt up in Connecticut really doesn't need to know what the real estate market's doing in Kansas City. So I can mark her as personal, takes her out of the flow. Now remember, it does not take her out of my contacts. Removing a contact from Engage does not take them out of your email contacts. It simply marks them as I'm not going to send them marketing materials. Collaborators, these are folks that we work with professionally in the industry or in our local area. So this could be home inspectors, mortgage folks, other agents that we like to work. If I get a lot of luxury listings, I want to have in my database, who are the agents who tend to get a lot of luxury buyers, right? I can have those in there. And then finally, remove from Engage, which is exactly what it says. If there's no reason for me to keep Bridget in there, I can just click on remove, she disappears, and I go on to the next one. So part of making Engage really work for you is the ability to come in and record everything, right? And this is going to help with not only the personalization in terms of your messaging that we've talked about in an additional 15 minutes of Moxie that handle the database strategy, and we also have one that strictly talks about personalization. It will also be wonderful for you when you want to pull up somebody you haven't talked to for a while, right? Most of us have a pretty good memory, but if I haven't talked to you in a few months, maybe some of the details are hazy. I've done research on the brain, and believe it or not, the average human brain can basically maintain 150 relationships at once. Once you start going above that with acquaintances, etc., if you want it to feel personal, if you want it to feel like we're perhaps better friends than maybe my brain might allow me to handle, you can use technology to help with that. So you can see in here, I can go in and add in relationships. Who's their spouse or partner? Do they have children? Who referred them? So let's say I call this contact. I can see who referred them right there and call and say, hey, Jim, I just had a wonderful conversation with John. I want to thank you again for trusting me. So it really kind of helps you again to stay in flow that way. Dates, birthdays, house anniversaries, anniversaries. You can put those in here, and actually, there's functionality that will help you to remember when these things come up for your clients, which we will talk about in an upcoming 15 minutes of Moxie Moves. You've also, of course, have personal profile. Now, when you click on that add personal field, you can put whatever you'd like in there. You can put what college did they go to? What sports teams are they really interested in? What hobbies do they have? Maybe their favorite band. Say, John, did you know that the Eagles are coming to town? I know you really love them. I wanted to give you a heads up. Whatever information you want to capture so that when you pull up that contact, you can give it a quick look and remember details that you've learned about this client over the months and years that you've known them. So I appreciate you guys' time today as we talked about how contacts work within Moxi Engage and how it's so important to segment these with groups and with categories and making sure that you don't have bad data in there. Remove the junk, remove the contacts in there that serve no purpose, that get imported. And that way you can really concentrate and bear down on that smaller group of contacts that are warmer contacts and far more likely to do business with you. So thank you again for your time, and make sure to check out our other 15 minutes of Moxie Work sessions. Thanks.
Great. So a couple of thoughts that came to me. Within Zap, you've got an entire contact list. In addition to that, anyone that you've engaged with in any way whatsoever. So you do need to download that contact list, and with it will come everything associated with it, the leads, for example, and we can help you upload it. If you're unsure how to download, contact us. And the worst possible case is we made an entire backup of the entire contact list for everybody in the company. So we prefer to not use that in any way whatsoever. So contact us if you need help to download, and you should do that as soon as you possibly can. And then one other interesting thing, when he mentioned sending email from within Engage, if it's opened, it will show you that the recipient has opened that email. So now you at least you begin to learn your success rate. And I think we can actually get statistics also from the usage of the program. And if they unsubscribe your email, you're going to be notified. So it's really a nice feature. And then also one other thing, remember when you remove a client from Engage, it's not deleting them from your contact list, so you're not going to lose them. And then I thought it's kind of an interesting thought, the house anniversary, whether you've ever represented that client or not, it's another reason to contact them every single year. I thought it was kind of a good idea. Did anyone have any comments they would like to make before we continue? Okay, now. We'll continue with part 2.
Hello, everybody. Brett Caltharp here, the Director of Agent Development for MoxiWorks, and thank you for joining us for another 15 minutes of MoxiWorks. Really excited for this one. It's the first of our Moxi Engage series, and we're going to start by talking about what else? Database strategy. So what exactly are we going to cover today? Well, most importantly, how are you going to use Moxi Engage to stay in flow with your sphere of influence? We're going to talk about why this is so critical to your business's success. We're going to talk about how you can be driving more business from the people that are already in your database, leveraging email in that strategy, the importance of marketing segmentations, which we'll talk a lot more about in some other future editions of this, and then some enhanced practices. We're also going to share a few tips on how to make sure your database is ready to go to use within Moxi Engage. So when starting to figure out your strategy, it really starts at the beginning of discovering what are your true strengths. So you need to ask yourself, what kind of real estate professional are you? Are you leads based? Are you somebody who converts a lot of online leads? If that's your strategy, which is just driving leads into my website, into my CRM, or are you more sphere based? I mean, perhaps you're a combination of both. Well, whatever your mindset is, well, I like doing the leads, or I like doing sphere, that should really drive your strategy and your systems, not the other way around. Now, the good news is Moxi Engage is perfectly capable of handling online lead generation and conversion, in addition to, of course, sphere marketing, which is kind of baked right into that productivity system. So either way you go, we're going to be able to work together with Moxie Engage and have that work great for you. But this is the time where you just need to put these decisions into play. Where am I really going to concentrate? Where is most of my business coming from? And we find that the agents who do this, that really understand their business, they find more traction in terms of the real estate business. So there's really a quick 3-step process to get ready for using Engage. Number one, know your business. Looking back to the last year or two, where did that business come from? You might spend a lot of money on online leads, but is most of your business generated from your sphere, from past clients, from referrals, wherever it may be? You want to know those percentages, and you also want to evaluate how much am I spending towards those percentages. Am I spending a lot of money on lead gen and not having the kind of results that I'm having when I look at sphere marketing? Next, you want to know where your business is going to go, and your data is going to tell you those opportunities, right? If you take a look at the last 2 years, you're going to kind of see where the market is placed. You're going to see the types of folks that you work with more often than not. And so you can figure out a plan to say, hey, look, I like working with this segment of buyers. What do I need to do to drive towards other segments of buyers? What can I do to attract their interest? And then we need to connect back those goals to our daily mindset, those activities, and then finally go all in. How does my plan support these efforts? And then using systems and tools to help us optimize the plan. Right? You should always have multiple pillars of business. I'm sure you've probably heard this, 4 or 5 different places. So if you find that most of your business is coming from 2 or 3 sources, it's a great time to take a look and say, well, where are some other segments of the market where perhaps I can gain some traction, gain some ground, and gain some leads. As we've mentioned, Moxie Engage is centered around a sphere selling methodology because we know that an agent sphere is typically where business comes from. And that's why we've tried to make it super easy for you to have that true relationship management by making sure it's connected with your email contacts, your calendar, so that you can see what's going on in your sphere. That's really important. The great thing about this dashboard is you can customize it, and it really does give you an all up of what's going on in your business at that time by having these integrations. So this is really important as you're starting to kind of go down the path of what's the best way for me to use this Moxie Engage to help my business. You really need to, number one, narrow and focus group this. A lot of agents might have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 contacts in your database. And if you try to nurture all of those at the exact same time, in the exact same way, you're not going to have the kind of success as you will if you segment and add personalization and make sure that you're reaching out to people at the right times and spending your energy where that business is going to come from. A shotgun approach, it can work a little bit, but it's definitely not the most strategic way to do it. And when we look at agents who use our products, we find that the ones who are much more strategic have a better track record in terms of business. And also it's important to remember that quality is not built overnight. You know, building relationships takes time. And yes, maybe you have a customer that you talk to every day because they're buying a house. But then after that closes, now what? Right? If the average person, we're seeing research say 10 to 12 years between buying houses, what am I going to do to stay in touch with this person and provide value and hopefully not only gain a great friendship, but also gain referrals from this person? So we need to be thinking about this and making sure that we are aligning our activities with what's going to generate business for us. So once you first bring in the contacts into Moxie Engage, you can kind of start this segmentation process. You can see here that we've got a picture of our My People dashboard, and you've got a couple different things you can do. Number one, you can manually select, and you can see over there with a mirror, you can manually select all. So I would select all 2,667 contacts, or I can select some if I've already created categories. So for example, I've used the categorize wizard where I've already identified past sellers, past buyers, etc. I can then use those filters to bring up a list of just those people. Likewise, groups, which are different than categories, I can create as many groups as I want, and then using the filters, I can say, you know, I don't just want past sellers, I want past sellers 2015. So you have lots of different options to use filters to be able to go through here. Now, when you first bring them in, if they're not automatically categorized, you're just going to click that button on the top right that's categorized wizard. And using a nice list of contacts that don't have a category, and it's very simple to click and say, okay, well, this one's a personal contact, this one's a past client, this is somebody I'm actually working with, and it really makes the process go fairly quickly. So you can see the other end of adding people to a database is taking them out. Now, if you are going to have your emails synced, it will, of course, occasionally bring in contacts that maybe just aren't appropriate for your CRM. It does look at see, who have I been emailing? So if you have friends overseas that you're friends with, or perhaps it's your 1-800, 1-800-Flowers emails that come in that might somehow come in as a contact because there's an email there. You want to go through and take a look and remove the ones that aren't going to make sense. So in this example, we have Amir and Aaron here that we're saying, those are personal friends. They shouldn't be in there. So all you have to do is you click on them and then click on that remove button next to the trash can. Once you do that, you can see that I've got 2 contacts that I've added from Engage. They're going to remain in my email account. Now, this is important. It's going to still be in my email account, but they're going to be hidden and they won't be seeing anything within Moxi Engage. And then I can select why. Either they're invalid, undesired, whatever it may be. So this is a really important step when you first get started. Now, if you're going to sync people, this is necessary. The other opportunity you have is you can actually download your contacts on what you're currently using and go to support.moxiworks.com and download a CSV file, which is basically an Excel file. And that is going to be a template for how to upload contacts into Engage. And we'll cover that in a future episode. But all you need to do is download that template and then just copy and paste the information from the current database export into the Moxi Engage template. Then you go ahead and import them and everything will be in there for you. And you can go ahead and edit and delete the contacts within that spreadsheet versus using it. Either one works great. And this one, of course, you can use some full functionality, which is nice. So all of this is important to remember that your database is your business strategy, right? And not only can you customize your workflow using strategy, et cetera, but you can take that strategy and apply it to Moxi Engage in terms of customizing your workflow. Perhaps there's other companies you work with that you can use some of their integrations within there. And then, of course, using the campaigns functionality, which we'll talk about in an upcoming edition of 15 Minutes with MoxiWorks. The other tool, cannot emphasize enough, Neighborhood News. Super easy way to begin supercharging your business. You can send out this fantastic targeted interactive email that will take people, if you're using a Moxi website, actually to your site to view the data. So they can go right into searching and they're on your site. And they have an ability to take a look and they can change things. If you have them signed up for one zip code and they want to check out another one, all they have to do is enter that in and they can take a look. So it really is self-guided for your clients to be able to find the information that they're looking for. So we talked about campaigns, and these are things I want you to start thinking about in terms of working into your strategy. Because part of your database strategy is, of course, not only just getting contacts in, but what are we going to say to them? What are we going to do? Well, here's some suggestions that we find work really well. Number one is the explainer video series, right? Now I'm going to be mentioning video a lot here, but it's one thing to go online and create a blog post. It's quite another just to be able to pop in and say, hey, I'm going to create a video series on YouTube just using my phone, and then I can create a campaign around it. What it's like to work with me and my company, local real estate questions. What's the home buying and selling process look like? If I haven't bought a home in a few years, things might have changed quite a bit. Obviously, your local market, restaurants, entertainment options locally, which we talked about in the My Hometown edition of the Moxi Present 15 Minutes. And of course, don't forget testimonials. You can also spotlight anything in your area, whether it's school districts, local charities, organizations, and of course, you can have contests. Who doesn't love contests? So you can send out, perhaps as part of your monthly newsletter, ask them for, hey, send us the cutest picture of your child pretending to be a realtor, and we'll pick 3 winners and give you prizes, or whatever it may be. Hey, we're looking for the prettiest card. So using these within campaigns work very well for generating engagement. That's it for this first 15 minutes of MoxiWorks covering Moxi Engage. Stay tuned for future editions. Thanks so much.
Any comments on that? So a couple things that are important to all of us. Moxi Engage will pull your contacts over from your phone, for example. So if you add a contact to your phone, it's going to automatically pull that over into Moxi Engage. So Moxi Engage is always up to date.
Hey, Rich,
Yes.
it can pull the stuff over from the phone, but it won't know if they're a buyer or a seller. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's not going to identify them. You would actually then have to assign that type of category to whomever that that contact is thereafter in Moxie Engage. But their information will be engaged, so you're not duplicating your efforts.
Thank you.
And let's see, what else? And there's sharing contact data, that's critical. And then also replies for emails sent from Moxie Engage will be sent to your email account inbox. There's calendar synchronization also. And then you can add and or modify contacts both in your Moxie Engage, which will update your contact list.
Hey, Richard, question.
Yes.
So if you have your contacts in SAP, that you've transferred SAP to this one, or how it works?
So specifically, if we were to say that you're using a Gmail account and you have contacts set up within your Gmail, is that what you're suggesting, Carmenza?
No, I do have SAP with the kind of the real estate contacts, because my cell phone is most family and friends.
Right.
I don't want to like combine. I don't know how good it will be combine those. So my question is, if you have it in SAP, can you transfer out to this platform, or how it works?
I hope I'm hearing you correctly. So you do have contacts in there that you don't want actually a part of Engage, correct?
She doesn't want to use the contacts on her phone. She wants to use the contacts from Zap.
I see. But yes, that's something we talked about just briefly before. Thank you for clarifying that, John. Okay. I must have misunderstood. So with that said, Carmenza, we can assist you, or you can actually download your entire contact list from Zap, and that can be imported into Engage.
Oh,
And actually, that's a necessary step.
okay,
And
so
then keep in mind,
that's what you started with, and then from your cell phone you can pick whatever you want to upload, isn't it?
I think what you would have to do, there's going to be a folder in which your contacts are found. You would have to remove the contacts that you don't want imported into Engage from that specific folder. Now, Cecilia, maybe you can address either confirm or deny what I'm saying here. If you're going to pull over from a folder of contacts, anyone that's in there is going to be pulled over. So you would have to remove those contacts to a different folder before importing. So you're not mixing business and personal contacts if you don't want them to Engage, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
It might be easier just to allow them to come over, to be imported, and you can always remove them from Engage. And remember, it doesn't remove them as a contact. It just removes them from Engage itself.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, so we have one more video today. I think the videos were done exceptionally well, and that's why we chose to do this. All right, Moxie Engage. Part 3.
Hello, everyone. Brett Caltharp here, Director of Agent Engagement for Works, and thank you for joining us for another 15 minutes of Moxie Works. Today, we're going to be talking about personalization within Moxie Engage, and more specifically, how you can use personalization to improve your productivity. So what do I mean by that? Well, to start, we're talking about how to segment your database for these better results, right? So we're going to talk about how can I do this? How can I deliver a more personalized experience? I might have 500 or 600 people in my database. What can I do? What steps can I take? How can I use Engage so that every person that I'm sending out messaging to, it's relevant to them, that it's something that they find engaging, and they're going to stay in touch with us and perhaps share with friends to help generate referrals. So we're going to talk about quickly how to use database segmentation with using groups and Moxie Engage. Next, we're going to share some great ideas for emails and campaigns you can send to these groups. And then the last one is a question I actually get asked quite a bit is, how can I make neighborhood news even better? Right? It's a super simple way for people to sign up, receive market reports, etc. Is there a way that I can personalize that experience? Well, there is, and I'm going to show you how to do that here at the end. So here's why personalization is important. You can see that we've got some statistics over on the right. personalized emails deliver at 6 times higher transactional rate. If you use segmented, targeted, personalized emails, we find that they generate 58% of all revenue. And the study also showed that personalized email marketing generates a median ROI of 122%, right? In short, consumers can really sniff out a canned email. They can tell when it's, hi, blank, it's been a while since we've talked. And then there's nothing within this email message that's super relevant, right? You haven't personalized it to what my actual goals are. You haven't personalized it to who I am. And what is the result of that? Well, a different study showed that 74% of people surveyed, quote unquote, hated being shown irrelevant content, right? Which obviously makes personalization super important, because if you're just sending out a blast email that has nothing to do with me, I'm probably going to unsubscribe. I get way too many emails as emails, right? So let's talk about how to avoid that. How can we use personalization to make the difference in our bottom line? Well, the other thing I'm going to talk about too is, why is this so important? Well, NAR thankfully asks home buyers and sellers every year what they think about a variety of topics. And when we ask them in NAR about the importance of agent communications, notice the things that come out of the top, right? They send me postings as soon as a property is listed, price changes, right? You can do that in Engage. Sends me property info and communicates via text message, which you can do in Engage via our messenger and dialer functionality provided by Wave. Sends emails about my specific needs, not just drips on me once a month, my specific needs. They can send market reports on recent listings, right? I want you to send me information that is relevant to me, right? I don't need to know. The example I often share with realtors is when I bought my first condo, the first email I ever got was, congratulations on your recent purchase. I curated this newsletter just for you. And the first article was, here's 10 great tips to make your spring garden as beautiful as possible. I don't have a garden. I bought a condo because I didn't want a garden. Traveled too much, right? So, instantly I lost a little bit of the rapport that I had with that agent, right? So NAR tells us it's important. The statistics tell us it's important. And most importantly, the clients and potential clients behind both of those tell us it's important. So I'm going to quickly refresh your memory on groups versus categories. I know we've covered this a couple of times, but in short, when you're looking at your My People feed, anybody that has that color button where it says past buyer, past seller, these are categories. So these will have been assigned to you either manually through the contact or by using the categorized wizard. This is the beginning of the process of segmentation, because we'll automatically be able to put them on different drip campaigns based on these categories. The items shown in the white boxes are groups. So you can see that for this example, I've pulled up multiple groups. I pulled up a group of past sellers from 2017 and 18, as well as my past buyers from 2016 and 18. That took my whole database, and I only have 31 people that match up with that. So I can create a highly targeted message to these 38 people all at once, right? So one group or many groups, however you want to set it up, great ways to be able to segment to aid you in doing this personalization. So you don't have to go one by one. You could just personalize to different groups that have similar traits, similar features. So I want to talk about how to add to functionality in your My People. So you can see that in this example, I pulled up my sales flow, my marketing bucket. So these are everybody that are currently in the marketing section of the sales flow within Moxi Engage. I've then gone ahead and said, okay, well, I want to talk about Hazel and Celia then, right? So if I take a look at them, and we'll go ahead and add Annie as well, I can click the buttons next to the boxes near their name. And that way I can select 3. I could have selected all. I could do it however I wanted. I can add even more groups and make it more segmented, much like how when you do a search in the MLS. You can add more criteria and get less listed. But what I really want to emphasize here is you can add groups of people to campaigns and other things using this functionality. So you might have 1,000 contacts, but if those 1,000 contacts are within 20 groups, well, then I can go in each group and do bulk actions that are going to be more personalized than trying to do something that works for everybody all at once. So we've gone ahead and selected these 3 parts. Now I'm going to click on Add To, and here's all the different things we can add them to. I can add them to groups from here. I can add them to campaigns, neighborhood news, listing announcements, I can also add them to other categories. So I can add them to past sellers, past buyers, to personals, etc. So really great functionality in here where I can bulk manage contacts within Engage. So in this example, I'm adding them to listing announcements. So once I do that, it brings up the screen that I can decide for each person, do I want to add them to just listed, just sold, or both? In this example, I'm going to go ahead and add them to both. Super quick and easy because you want to make sure almost all of your contacts are actively on a campaign. Because if they're not on a campaign, then chances are you're not talking to them. And they want to hear from you, right? You need to keep that spear marketing going, stay in touch with them, and provide relevant information. So now, when we talk about staying in touch with your sphere, there's all sorts of different campaigns you can create, right? And we've given you some pretty, I think, a decent list here of some things to start with. These are broader campaigns, okay? These are broader groups of people. So we have people that are, for example, home buyers, people who are actually looking for a home. First-time home buyers, very different, right? If I'm an investor client, don't send me first-time home buyers. You know, I want to save that for those folks. Move-up buyers, right? Relocation buyers, downsizing, change of life, vacation homes, investment properties, right? These are all larger segments of the market. You might be able to have 10, 20, 30, 100 of your contacts that are saying, you know, I've got 50 of them that are looking at downsizing. I've got another 50 that are looking at investment properties and vacation homes. So I can go ahead and add them to these groups and then tailor my marketing using these groups. We've talked before about how important video is. You've probably seen this screen, but I wanted to have it in here just as a general reminder that video works super well for this, right? Having those explainer videos and why the home buyer, why you want to work with me and my company. How does the home buying and selling process work today, right? If it's been a while since you've done either of those, there's probably been some changes, right? Local options in your neighborhood or your cities to show off, highlighting charities and organizations, of course, contests. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to customize neighborhood news. Now, this came about because I was recently at an event and I had an agent come up and say, you know, I really love Moxi Engage, but the one thing that kind of drives me crazy is on neighborhood news, they sign up for a zip code, but you know, a lot of people look at multiple zip codes and they might be interested in bigger areas, you know. Well, she wasn't aware that you can actually do that within Moxi Engage. So I thought that was a great topic for me to be able to show all of you as well. So you can see I'm inside of a contact here. This is Tasha's contact. And down at the bottom, you can see an area for subscriptions. And if I click on that, you can see our two main subscriptions that we can go ahead and add people to. Number one are listing announcements. And number two is neighborhood news. And there's a little bit of information about both below, and you can do a sample. So for this example, I'm going to do a neighborhood news. I'm going to add Tasha to a neighborhood news subscription. Now, when I click that, there's actually two ways you can do this. Now this is a quick add functionality, which is just saying, hey, give us a zip code and email and you're done. This is our more custom targeted search. And for some reason, a lot of people miss this, and don't feel bad if you did. I wanted to make sure that we highlighted it. So if I'm going to click on this targeted search and click on go, guess what I did? Does that look familiar? It should. You basically get the search functionality from that you're familiar with from our websites and from within Moxi Present. So you can see it starts with a zip code. I've got 98012 over there. But the wonderful part about this is I can go in and add in the filters to make it more personal to this person, right? Obviously, our pricing, our bedrooms and bathrooms, the different filters under the filters option, things like has to have a pool or waterfront or wherever it may be. You can also, using the mapping functionality, just like in our other products, you can come in and say, hey, look, I want to do a search by schools or school districts. Or you can draw your own. So you can see here, we're starting with 98012. But I want to go in and draw my own area, because perhaps there's parts of this area that my buyer's just not interested in. So you can see here, I've zoomed in a little bit and I created my own little custom polygon and carved out the little piece that I want. And now accordingly, over on the left, I see listings for that area, right? And so once I'm sure that, okay, this is what my client is looking for, buyer or seller, Then I go ahead and hit next. Once I do that, you're going to see at the top left, it actually tells you what criteria you put in. So it's saying, look, you've used a custom boundary and you only want single family or condos. You can go back and edit it at this point if you want, but that's what I wanted. And I can see a quick email preview down there and then a full report preview on the right. Now, I want to highlight something. If you look at the bottom, it says recipients. Okay, so for this example, I did this for one contact. But you can actually, using that add to functionality we talked to before, do this for a number of different clients. I think the best way to use this that I've seen is using it for school districts. So if you have your database for people who bought properties, or perhaps the area they live, if you know what the school districts are, instead of just saying a marketing report for the whole zip code, which may just have some relevant info and some information that's not, depending on how big your zip code is, I can actually create a neighborhood news that is just information that's happening within the boundaries of my school district, right? And so you can say, hey, you belong to Overland Park Public Schools. Well, great. Here's a report that's showing the real estate information that's going on in that section, right? Because especially if you have folks that have young kids and they love the neighborhoods they're in, they love the schools they're in, sending them a report of just that school district, it's so much easier for them to then forward on to people that they know and say, hey, you know what? Here's what's going on in this neighborhood. And this is actually, if you went in with any of these properties, you're going to be in our school district. So it's a way for you to really barrel down on something that's important. So just because you can do a quick addition by zip code doesn't mean that that's where the functionality is. You can really create any type of custom search you want for neighborhood news. And then every month, they're going to get listings based on the criteria that you put in. So I want to share some quick final thoughts on personalization. You can see I've got a little bit of a fun comic here. You don't want to be creepy, right? So even though we're going to go in and record information in our contacts to help with personalization, the way to get that information is just by having great conversations with these folks. Having an active listening approach is really going to help you out to learn about these clients and past clients. Actively listen, ask them questions in the course of a normal conversation. You'll find out what are their likes, their dislikes, do they have children, what's their favorite restaurants, whatever it may be. This works a lot better than just sitting there and asking them a giant list of questions. They're going to feel interrogated, and they're going to be like, why are you asking this information, right? So if you've just got a gauge open, what I do is if I'm interacting with somebody on social media and I learn a really cool fact about them, cool, I just pop over to my engage window, pull up that contact, put that information there, right? Oh, they're a huge fan of The Simpsons. Okay, pull it over, put it in that information. And that way, the next time I pull it up, I can see, oh yeah, they know The Simpsons. So maybe that's where I find a card or whatever it would be, right? So use personalization, but use it in a way that just shows that I'm here for you and I'm listening and I want to give you content that's relevant to you. And Mox Engage gives you some great tools to allow you to do that. So that's it for this session of 15 minutes of Moxie Works. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure to check out our other videos for additional subjects covering both Moxie Present and Moxie Engage. Have a great day. Good. So a couple of things to think about. Once again, Moxie Engage integrates with the multiple listing service. So you set up a marketing program, it's going to continue through a dynamic process to continue to update any reports that you have sent that are continuing to be sent out in some kind of a drip campaign. So it's really a great feature. Another thing that wasn't brought up yet, but it's interesting, there is a texting app also within Moxie Engage. So you theoretically, from within the system, can send text messages out and it'll record that in the system. So you can maintain activity level and the activity that you've engaged in with that client. So Carlos, if you're ready, I've stopped to share my screen. If you would just pull up the main page.
Let's see. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what the dashboard looks like when you first log in. When you go over to people, click on My People. It'll open up. Seems like my browser just, let me refresh it. Okay, so we're in the dashboard. To look up your people or your contacts, you're going to click on that. My people. And it'll show any contacts you've added or any contacts that have synced over from your Gmail account. And to add people, you click on add people here at the top right. Let's take a look at the contact here that created Mr. Test Buyer. And I have this test or this person subscribed to the neighborhood news. So it's interesting because it shows under activity. I sent an email to this person, which is I'm using my Coldwell Banker email as the buyer or the client. And here's the activity. It shows that I added the contact. I subscribed them to neighborhood news. I sent them an email. And it shows that the buyer has clicked on the neighborhood news multiple times. And it's pretty cool because let me show you what that report looks like. So this is the email that goes out to the buyer. I use the zip code 92868, which is the city of Orange. Shows active listings, sold listings, and this is for, I believe, the month between May and June. Where does it say that? I know it said it's somewhere here. Yeah, May and June. There's 83 active listings, 16 sold. Median price of active, median price of sold. That's pretty interesting. So what the buyer can also do is they can click on the view more listings. There's more listings in this zip code, 92868. That's pretty cool.
And one of the big changes, if you notice, they never leave your branding. They're always in your site. So we don't lose them to some third-party site when they're working through the information that you sent. I think that's really important. Something that Kimberly has brought up in the past.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool information. And the email that I sent from Engage after I synced it to my Gmail account looks like this. So this is the email that I received. So right now I'm the buyer looking at the email sent out from the realtor. And it was just a test. If we go back, here's the email that I sent. It's the log of the email. And to view the message that I sent, this is a test. That's the message. And here it says the email was opened. So that's really cool that it tells you that the email is opened. I'm pretty sure if it's open, it's probably read. Tells you every time they clicked on the neighborhood news. I don't know why it's not showing that I just clicked on it again, but it will update to show that, to reflect that. So this is what the actual interface looks like. That you know, I know with the video you just saw portions, you know, of the windows, but this is the entirety of it here. Calendar, you could sync your calendar with birthdays, anniversaries, whatever's in your Gmail account to sync to your Engage account or calendar. I chose to just click on transaction tasks, but you could do anniversaries, birthdays, and whatever you add to your default calendar. So if you were to add, I have a home inspection on Thursday of this week, on your default calendar, it'll show up on your Engage calendar. Campaigns, after you've added your contacts or synced your contacts over, you can assign them to e-blasts, listing announcements, neighborhood news, things like that. In addition to, this is another way of adding the neighborhood news or listing announcements to them. You can add everything that's, I believe, that was in Prospect Square as marketing campaigns. will show up here as well. So you also have like the holiday emails that go out. And there's like a series of, I believe, 10 to 12 emails that'll go out once. One will go out each month throughout the year. So there's the holiday campaign. Yeah, let's preview that. So these campaigns you set and forget, right? They go out, and like I've told many agents, sometimes after I set this up, I'll get an email back from someone saying, hey, happy Thanksgiving to you too. And I'm thinking, I didn't send them an email. Then I stop and remember, well, the system sent it out. So this is what those emails look like. Of course, it'll have your branding at the bottom. So let's close that. And you can add whatever campaign to your campaigns. Let's see, let me pull up the campaigns again here. So you click on add to campaigns on the right, and it'll add these campaigns. So there's seller for luxury, homeowner, close client. So there's all these different categories that you can add to your campaigns and then add to your clients and assign them to your clients. Let's look at one of these. Let's look at closed homeowner. So this looks like it's a series of 12 emails that are going to go out. The first one goes out on the first day that you set it up. The next one goes out 14 days later. The next one 28 days after start, and so forth. And this is what the first email looks like. Looks like it's just helpful information for them. Being environmentally friendly. So this is just something to stay in front of them right after you've closed them. Maybe they'll send you a referral, family member, friend. But this is all really cool. I mean, I like the fact, and this I didn't know, that you can specify a tract on the neighborhood news and not just the zip code. So you could like get down to the nitty gritty on it. That's pretty cool. Listing announcements. If you have a listing, they'll show up here. You can send schedule people or assign them your listing announcements. So anytime you get a listing, it'll automatically notify them of your new listing. I mean, this is cool. Does anyone have any questions?
Would you go back to the main page of that, the campaigns that shows the analytics? So if you can see the lower third of the page says campaign. You can see the open rate, click rate, opens, clicks, unsubscribes. So now you can begin to gauge those campaigns that you're sending out to see if what you're sending out is effective. If it's something that's helpful or informational to them to cause them to open it. So it can help you modify your entire approach in regards to how you're marketing to people. I think it's just great. And then also, I would assume, Carlos, we can see the unsubscribed, so we know exactly who has removed themselves from any campaigns.
Right here.
Yes, and not just the number. Can we see the detail of it?
It doesn't let me click anything on here.
Yeah.
I can click on this. No one
All right,
subscribes.
so it would show it.
Yeah, I guess if you click on the number here, if there's 5, it'll tell you who unsubscribed from it.
Yes. All right, you can see who's opened. So all that information is available.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Kimberly, did you have any questions or thoughts? I guess the answer is no.
Oh, there's a question here from Masood. How can I upload my Excel contact list? Well, when you go to My People, you're going to click on this little settings gear at the top and import Outlook CSV file. So does that answer your question?
And if you need help downloading and or importing, just let us know. We can assist you with that. Okay. All right.
Richard, were you asking me something? I was on mute.
I was, because Kimberly, you
My
always have,
question is about the structuring the buy down. I don't have any questions on Moxie.
oh, I see. All right.
Yeah,
Well, knowing your background, I thought you may have had some comments tonight.
no, I'm multitasking right now.
So your question is in regards to structuring a buy down for a loan?
Yeah, so I have clients, this might be a good one for everyone since this will probably happen a lot with the rates being so high. So my clients want to offer the seller their asking price because it's overpriced. And then ask the seller for well, we're trying to decide which version we're going to do, but a 2-1 buy down basically off their rate.
Okay.
So my question for you that we can meet offline after this wraps up was just the best way to structure that on the offer.
I see.
And then there's an existing repair credit as well.
Well, in terms of structuring it on the offer, I don't know if that's of consequence to the seller. I have to wonder that. Yeah, unless you're asking them to pay for that.
Yeah, no, the seller would be paying for the buyer's points so the buyer can reduce their rate.
I see.
So there's a permanent buy down option, and then there's also a 3-2-1 option where it's like 2 points off the first year or 3 off the first year to the second, and then 1 point off the third, and then it goes to the normal rate. And then I guess there's a permanent one where they get less of a reduction, but it's, permanent. And then there's a 2-1. So it's all new and I'm just learning about some of it too. But my question is how you would reflect that on the offer itself.
I think in the second page of the purchase contract itself at the very top, it has a line entitled credits requested of the seller. And probably within that realm, you might suggest that a seller paid buy down of or equal to, and that's how I would arrange it in regards to the purchase contract. So to put the seller on notice that that's what you're asking for in the offer.
But is there still a 3% limit, or is it considered something different than just regular closing costs?
It would still be applicable to any limitation the lender places on the loan. Of course, the higher the loan to value, the lower the allowable credit.
Right.
So if that's the only credit, it's highly unlikely you're going to.
Well, there's a repair credit too, because the air conditioner doesn't work. So it would be one repair credit, and then that one, I guess, would go under closing cost credit, right?
I would do it in that manner. I wouldn't suggest to the lender that there's an outstanding deficiency in the property. I would just negotiate it, then negotiate what the total credit is. So
Right.
what would the total credit be that you're looking for?
So basically the price is $1,050,000. The credit is 20,000 potentially. I don't think they're going to go for that much, but that's what we're shooting for. And then the 3% for the buy down.
You're probably fine.
Okay.
3% of the loan amount for the buy down?
Yeah. So it'd be about $30,000 for the buy down.
You're probably within the guidelines. What's the loan to value once again?
I'm waiting on some stuff from the lender.
How about just an estimate, 10% down, 20% down?
Well, they're trying to put down as little as possible. So probably 10 I would say 10, maybe a little less even.
Yeah, you could have an issue with that. You're going to certainly have to confirm with the lender what the allowable credit would be in that scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was my only question.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? No? Well, thank you for attending, everybody. We're going to continue to schedule subsequent training sessions in regards to Engage. Also, the websites are being dramatically improved. The analytics associated with the websites is just amazing. Also, the websites are actually going to allow complete customization. And in addition to that, it's going to give you, let me look at all the benefits, right? Lead capture, integrated IDS search, which is nothing new as a matter of fact. But the analytics, I think, are going to be really wonderful in regards to benefiting you. And then SEO, that's something else that really wasn't available. We were limited before, but now there won't be any limitations in regards to how you can structure search engine optimization. Well, thank you for attending, everybody. It's good to
Rich.
see you. Yes.
This is what the website looks like. For those that were,
Are you sharing your
wondering.
screen still?
yeah, is it not coming up?
I see a desktop.
Okay, then I shared the wrong screen.
Yeah,
There we go.
that's what.
There it is.
A cool feature on this is that your Zillow reviews show up on here.
Yeah, you
If
can
you-
actually
if
have
you
the
link-
Zillow reviews feed through.
So let me show you that on the About Me and the bio page. If you link the Zillow account,
Mm.
yeah, the Zillow reviews show up on here, which is pretty cool. And Kimberly, the best thing is that when you search for properties in Riverside County, it stays on your branding.
It's
Oh,
something
that's
that didn't have
awesome. That was
questions
gonna
for.
be my next question.
Yes.
I beat you to it. So here,
I'm excited.
let me click on this property here.
So people use Zillow because it's simple to use. We've got the same functionality now that Zillow has.
This is
Nice
a Riverside
property.
listing.
$4 million for that? You think the seller's overpriced?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully there's something else besides a shack that's sitting on the property.
But that's pretty cool. I mean, it shows featured properties, which are our office listings. It also gives a consumer the opportunity to sign up for neighborhood news. So if you click on this, on more, remember the neighborhood news feature that was in Engage?
We do.
Someone could just sign up for it here, and it'll automatically sync it to your Engage contacts. Sign up now. There's the zip code.
So yeah, they're automatically added to Engage for you, and you can see all the activity that they're receiving. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for pointing that out, Carlos. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, everybody, thank you for attending today. It's good seeing you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.